So these are the charges that we have had filed today, signed by one of our Superior Court judges. These are the 11 charges against Officer Rolfe. The first charge is felony murder. This is the death that is as a result of a underlying felony, and in this case, the underlying felony is aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, and the possible sentences for a felony murder conviction would be life without parole, or the death penalty. Now, he's also charged in the arrest warrant with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, and this is a count charging him for the shooting of Mr. Brooks, and the possible sentence for aggravated assault is 1 to 20 years. The third aggravated assault account is for the shooting towards or in the direction of Mr. Melvin Evans. Mr. Evans was the person who was seated in the car. We have a picture of if you would point out, this automobile is the place that Mr. Evans and his two companions were driving, and a shot was fired, and I believe we've also got a photo of the shot that ended up in the vehicle. I think you got to stand up. And so with count 4 against Miss Officer Rolfe, it charges him with aggravated assault for firing the weapon in or in the direction of Danielle Killians, who was in the passenger side of the front seat of the car. Next slide. Count 5 is an aggravated assault charge, and this was a charge for shooting towards or in the direction of Michael Perkins. Mr. Perkins was seated in the rear of this same vehicle at that time. There's a charge for criminal damage for shooting into that vehicle. Also, Officer Rolfe is charged with 7 violations of office. Each one of those carries a 1 to 5 sentence. These are violations of his oath of office for the city of Atlanta, arresting Mr. Brooks for the DUI without immediately informing him of the arrest, shooting a taser at Mr. Brooks while he was running away, which again is a violation of Atlanta's own SOP. Thirdly, excessive force when shooting a firearm at Mr. Brooks. And number 4 is the failure to render timely medical aid. Those are the 4 violations of oath. The 8th is for kicking Mr. Brooks, and the possible sentence for kicking Mr. Brooks is from 1 to 20 years. And we actually have a photograph of the charges for Officer Brosnan, and there's a total of 3 charges, and the first charge is for aggravated assault, and this is for standing or stepping on Mr. Brooks's shoulder, and the possible sentence for this crime is 1 to 20 years, and this is a photograph of Officer Brosnan, who you can see to the right, and at the time of the photograph, he is standing on the body of Mr. Brooks. And as I've indicated earlier in our conversations with Officer Brosnan, he has admitted that he stood on the body of Mr. Brooks. He said he believes that he was standing on Mr. Brooks's arm, but that is what the photograph shows. We've also charged him with additionally 2 violations of oath. One is for the standing on the shoulder. That is an unauthorized weaponless control technique which the city of Atlanta prohibits. And the second violation of oath was for the failure to render timely medical aid to Mr. Brooks. So the arrest warrants have already been signed. We are asking Officer Rolfe and Officer Brosnan to surrender themselves by 6 p.m. on the morrow. Because Officer Brosnan is now becoming a cooperating witness for the state, we are asking the court to grant a bond of $50,000 and to allow Officer Brosnan to sign that bond.